Welcome, world, to Life, Love, and Wellness Global, a worldwide wellness movement. I am Reverend Sandy Rogers, and as the creator of this historic event, it is my pleasure to welcome you. We come together to bring you this historic event. We have practitioners, holistic practitioners, we have medical doctors, we have spiritual individuals. This event is so lovingly dedicated to my mother, Mrs. Barbara Dean Brown. And my mother taught me like 40 plus years ago about the importance and the meaning behind herbs. And she would always say, we don't know what they putting in those pills, so you better not, get hooked on prescription drugs. And so we listened to Mom, but not all of us paid attention. My sister, bless her heart, was diagnosed recently thereafter with asthma, and she was prescribed prednisone, which is a very powerful steroid. And my sister actually got hooked on steroids like someone out on the street kind of hooked, like on heroin or crack or something like that. And so my mom and my sister are both on the other side, living in the other dimension, but they're upholding me, and this is dedicated to their memory. So we don't want to come and make you change your mind about what you're doing. We just want to provide information to you, something different, so that you have options to choose from, so that you're not stuck. Because the environment that we now live in, the fast foods, the toxins in the air that we breathe and in the water that we drink, and the processed foods, and all of that is causing havoc on this precious body temple. So God created our bodies to heal themselves, but they can only heal themselves when they're fed and they're nourished and they're stress-free. And so the 60 or so or more experts that we have are bringing you this worldwide wellness movement in an attempt to share their testimonies and their information with you. So we have from age 14 on up. I don't even know what the oldest age is. I think 88 or something. So you see, that's a wide range of knowledge that we're bringing you. And so we hope that you come and that you get all the knowledge that you need to affect a positive change on your life, and share this with others. It's free, it's online, and so we're just so thankful that you decided to be a part of our listening community, the viewing community, and we certainly appreciate you for giving us your time of day and your energy and your efforts to being with us and to being a part of this historic event. We have pulled together people of color for you, by you, right? So we want to make sure that you understand that we too, melanated people with color, can enjoy, practice, and participate in some of these modalities that others have been doing for centuries, and that is pretty new to our community. So we talk about Qigong, we talk about meditation, yoga, spiritual work from a different perspective than religion. So we talk about the spirituality aspect. We talk about abuse in the families. We talk about all kinds of subjects because we know that in our communities there are layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff that we never talk about that's causing a negative effect on our bodies and its healing process. So we address it, whatever it is, and we hope that you will benefit from the many experts that we have, and that you walk away with lots of knowledge and lots of new information, and that you become fully empowered to share information with others. So thank you for being with us. We love you and we bless you, and we look forward to doing this again. But thanks for being here with the first one. We appreciate you.
Love and wellness. Life, love and wellness.
Welcome to Life, Love, and Wellness Global, a worldwide wellness movement. Today we're honored to have Dr. Barbara King, is Bishop Dr. Barbara King, with us. She wears so many hats that it's just, sometimes it could be a challenge to keep up with all of her accolades that she's accumulated during her lifetime. So Dr. Barbara, as she is affectionately known, would you introduce yourself to our worldwide community, please?
Well, I think you've done a good job. I'm a bishop, I'm a doctor, I'm also a Nana. I am known as Nana Yatumwa the first, as the first African-American woman to be a chief with the Ashanti tribe in Ghana. So that's my proudest thing, I think, that has happened, because they don't have women chiefs. And I've been honored by them in that role. But I'm very happy to be with you during this time to share some thoughts about what I believe about health and spirituality. It was in the early 70s when I lived in Chicago that I met my mentor, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. I had never heard of the International New Thought Alliance, and she said, you have to go to the convention. So with her, I went to the International New Thought Alliance convention. I forgot what city we were in, but they meet from city to city each during the summer months. And it was there that I first heard about spirituality, because coming out of a Baptist background, we didn't talk about spirituality. We talked about religion and the Bible and knowing your scriptures and going to heaven, and that was good. It was a good foundation, because you have to come from some foundation to move to where you are. But I didn't know about the spirituality. And the thing that impressed me the most about it was that I didn't know I was a spiritual being. No one ever told me that I was a threefold being: spirit, mind, emotions, and body. That was a new idea for me, and I latched onto it because within my very own being, I would get ideas, thoughts would come. If I had to make a decision, I could get still. I always liked to get still. My daddy joined the Catholic Church. They taught me how to be still, following him to church. And I would get ideas, and sometimes I'd use them, sometimes I'd ask somebody what they thought, or I'd be afraid to use it. And I knew there was something different within me, but I didn't know what it was. So when I got into the movement of New Thought, I began to realize that was the spirit in me, because if you're a threefold being, and Paul says your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, there are many evidences that there is something greater about us than what's outside of us. And so I began to embrace that idea that what I was getting was ideas and thoughts and understanding from that creative spirit that was in me. Now that's hard for a lot of people to accept, because we've been so used to saying, well, I'm only human. And being only human divorces you from being that spirituality, a spiritual person. And then my mind, I didn't realize how much your thinking, what you produce in your thoughts, has so much to do with what your reality is. That was new for me. And then my body, even though I had heard kind of maybe once or twice in the church about the Holy Spirit, I didn't hear it all the time. So then it occurred to me, if I'm a spiritual being, then it's housed within my body. And because of the energy field that we live in, whatever I say goes into that energy field. So it was an awakening like never before. I embraced Johnny, I embraced her church. I went to the meetings. In fact, they called me to speak several times. And I was always the one that would talk about our eating habits and our exercising habits, and how I think it had a lot to do with what was happening to our bodies. And that's one key point I want to make, because when you are emotionally strapped, your emotion will attack that part of the body that's the weakest. So if you're going through any kind of physical challenge and your emotions just don't understand, you're fearful, you're worried, you don't know what the doctor's trying to do, all those ideas would flood your mind, but they will flood also the body. Because I also learned that your cells are intelligent. It's so much about the body that we need to know that we don't teach. So when I came back from that first meeting, boy, I was hot with information. But having begun a ministry here in Atlanta, the first woman to step out as bold as I did, people in the South are good eaters. They like good old soul food, as they call it. They get by saying comfort food. And when I started talking about white flour, white sugar, and bringing people to the podium who could supposed to, they thought, where did she come from? But finally, I think what has embraced Atlanta, some people have come in especially from the East Coast, that have embraced healthy eating for a long time, have embraced being a spiritual being for a long time, and now we've been saturated with health food stores and all kinds of content. You were saying that, Lead. I love your book on the groceries. I can't get the name.
God's Groceries.
But it's such a wonderful book. I got it at Dr. Mark Armstrong's place. I said, I gotta have one. I can't wait to get one. I'm gonna buy this one. But we're being flooded now with people coming with what we need to hear about vitamins and herbs, and that helps us a great deal. People are now finding out what their blood count is, what they should or shouldn't eat. But when you think about spirituality, it's really a way of living. It's a way of embracing who you are as a spiritual being. We say you're a spiritual being, living in a spiritual universe, governed by spiritual laws. Many people don't understand that. But when you begin to use meditation as the seed of, I like thinking of the seed of my activity, to get into meditation, get still, and learn to listen. See, we talk so much, there's so much going on around us. We embrace the outer, but we don't embrace the inner. And so when you begin to get still and begin to listen, it's amazing. It's amazing what comes to you. It may be a hunch. Sometimes I just know what I know. I can't tell you why, but I know what I know. But the main part of it is that it has a lot to do with your being still. This is a month for our faculty of power, and power is governed by stillness. You can only know power when you learn to be still. And so I think that those of us who know this truth must get it out to the people. The sad thing that I think, and I don't want to judge, but our churches haven't caught on yet. Our traditional churches have not caught on. Some have. Some of them have centers where you go and take exercise, but they're not telling people that the combination of your spiritual life has a lot to do with your physical life. In fact, it has all to do with it. And so getting people to see the need to move in that direction. I think I've been blessed because my background is social work. And as a social worker, we had to learn so much in terms of workshops and having people engaged in different kind of groups. So Hillside moves in that direction because that's my experiences. But I'm working with as many people as I can to get them to see the need for embracing more of the spirit world, if you will, than this outer world, because the way we're going now, there's enough to keep you almost afraid to live. And you have to embrace fear. Fear is there. People are worried about the economy, they're worried about Social Security, worried about the Medicare, health insurance, worried about the actions of our wonderful president. So when you get all that and you get that into your mind, you don't have time to think anything else but that. So as I say to people, you get afraid, find something to say that will embrace you so you can get that fear thought out of your head. But eating properly, let me go back to the eating. Now, they laugh at me. Sometimes I say, I gotta have a pork chop just once a year. We laugh about it. But the truth is that there are certain foods that you can embrace according to what your blood count is. I'm O positive, so I have a list of things that I can eat. And she said to me, the young woman at the vitamin shop, she said, now, the things on the side you can't, there's nothing wrong with them, but what it does in your body. And so therefore I know if I eat certain things I shouldn't eat, my feet will swell. And that is really, really something. Because I'm tall and I have to keep my feet elevated to keep the blood circulating up, because I've learned that if my blood doesn't circulate, I'm gonna have some swelling anyway. So when you begin to watch your body and what it does with certain foods, what it does with certain activity, you can begin to see, wow, Spirit is telling me to be careful. Spirit is telling me, don't go in that direction. Now, I had cheese, no cheese for me. Last night I said, I want some cheese. I had cheese and some crackers. I knocked myself out last night, and I felt it. So I realized that the things I shouldn't eat, my body's going to respond to it. But Spirit is telling me not to eat. I'm just saying, I know what you're saying, God, but just a little cheese won't hurt. But it's a wonderful world to live in, the spirit world, and you shouldn't be frightened about it. I told a story about a balloon. My dad, when he first transitioned, spoke to me, and I believe we're so close to each other that we can feel each other and know each other. And my dad said he was working, but he would come back later on. That's been maybe 20 years ago. And two people in the church gave me balloons for Valentine's Day. One said Happy Valentine's Day, and one said I love you. Well, the one said I love you, it diffused quite quickly, but the other did not. My young lady that lives here with me, she came upstairs one night. The balloon came right upstairs with her from the kitchen. Came all now I'm on the third floor. The balloon came up the stairs. It scared her. She stepped back, came to my room and went around my bed a couple, 3 times, and settled next to me. And I said, look, I don't know who you are, but I don't want to sleep next to you tonight. Please go over there and sleep. The balloon left my bed, settled. I have a fireplace, settled on the fireplace, and stayed there. It has just fused itself to where it's, but I had to stop thinking, well, who is this trying to get a message to me? That's the spiritual. Some people are afraid of it, but you don't have to be, because when you get grounded in the laws of God. Now we follow the principle of Jesus Christ. Everybody has their own teacher. I like him. When you get grounded in those spiritual laws, you begin to realize what is really the truth for you, that when you give, you receive, that when you love and not hate. When you learn to forgive yourself, forgive others, what happens is you touch a part of you that you didn't know was so real. And when you touch that part of you, what happens is you begin to see things, you begin to feel things. And I know that was my daddy. I just got still and I got that leading. That's your daddy. So things come in all kinds. God, spirituality is a powerful thing, but it comes, it embraces you, you embrace it, and all of a sudden you just know that's something I'm learning, something I'm knowing I didn't know before. The more I mature in years, the more I'm aware of who I am. But that doesn't mean I don't practice. You know, Johnny said it works if you work it. That doesn't mean I have to work it. I'm like anybody else. If I stop working, I'm back to square one. So I have to keep up my meditation. I have to keep up my readings. I have to keep up what I believe to be the truth. When you teach people, you must live what you teach. So therefore, they say, well, you look, you're 87, you don't look 87. I said, well, how am I supposed to look? So I'm just looking like I'm supposed to look. But the truth is, when you embrace your spirit, spirit has a way of keeping you young, keeps you youthful, because spirit is forever. It cannot die, and it's not old, it's not young, there's no age. So you can't help but be beautiful. So I'm very thankful for that opportunity to know that. I went to see Jan Van Zandt at the Fox Theater last week, and I decided I'm not going to wear any makeup. So I had on no makeup, and I love eyelashes. I didn't have no eyelashes, but I dressed properly. But I said, if they say I'm beautiful like this, I'm going to give it a try. When I got there, of course, she knew I was coming. She had arranged special seating for us, and with my guests. And when we got ready to leave, her manager came and said, we want to interview you for a documentary. I said, excuse me? And I said, oh my gosh. And they took me out in the outer areas of Fox, where they sell the hot dog and stuff. And I sat there, and they interviewed me for her documentary. But when I sat there, I looked at my little friend, just McCloyd, I looked at my guest, and I said, hey, honey, you look beautiful. I said, I'm going to have to leave that tonight because I like my makeup. But you see, at that moment, it's not about the makeup. It's about what your spirit brings forward. And I talked so with him that he said, I asked every question you go ask me, because once I start talking, he said, you asked everything I wanted to know. But I had to stop and think. You went there in love. You sat there in love. You love Iyanla. You love what she does. And people coming to me that I didn't know saying, hello, aren't you Dr. Key? Because she acknowledged that her church was Hillside and I was a pastor. And I just realized you're beautiful no matter what. So don't worry about you having on the lipstick and have on this. You were dressed properly. You chose to do that. You wanted to relax. And so you did. So it's okay. I have not seen what they filmed. They didn't show me that night. It's a divine order. But again, your spiritual presence will allow you to be comfortable no matter where you are. And so that's my story. I know I'm a spiritual being, and I work at it by making sure that I take time to be still and to listen, and to know. The other thing is that, and I'll close with this, when we get a message, we sometimes don't receive it, or we receive it, we don't use it. One thing about spirituality, when you get something, you need to be able to say yes to it and know that it's coming just for you, not for everybody else, but for you. And so many times we find our friends, our confidants we think to talk to, but everybody didn't get the message. And so sometimes they will mislead you with what they think is right or wrong. And you have to realize that it was right for you from the beginning. And with that in mind, then just take off. Follow every step. Don't be in a hurry. Don't get frustrated. But know that whatever's happening, because you relied on that inner presence, it can't help but work out okay. So that's my take on spirituality, and that's my take on knowing that God is good all the time.
So, Dr. Barber, taking that same philosophy that you were just telling us in reference to not sharing what God has put in you to do with other people, I remember, 25 years ago, whenever you experienced a health opportunity, you were very deliberate not to share it with everybody.
Right.
You would do what you needed to do, and then you would come back and let us know.
Right.
Can you address that with the importance of why that is so important?
Well, it's important because so many people have their own ideas about what should and shouldn't be. And I learned very early in the movement that people don't always pray in your honor either. That their prayers may be prayers against what you're doing. That they may be prayers for your healing, but you don't know that. So when you don't share it, it gives you time to meditate and build your faith to know that you'll be okay. Now, that has been mistaken by many people. It's happened to your side. Somebody said, well, you said don't tell nobody. And next thing you know, they're almost out of here. But that has nothing to do with whether you're out or in. It has to do with your desire to live. And so when you do that, then people can't talk about it. Oh, my sister had that. Or they always align you with something else that's like that. And when I had my health challenge, I even left town because the doctor I was going to was out of town. But I didn't lose contact with the ministry, and I did come back when I finished up my treatment. So the reason for that is simply so that you don't get somebody telling you what can and cannot be done in your case. And invariably, I've seen it happen times. Somebody will tell you, my uncle had it, my aunt had it, or this is what may happen to you, and you don't need that. Now, it's not the easiest thing to do for many people, but I've learned to just keep quiet. And if I mention the disease, they say if you talk about it, you bring it back. So I'll just say I had a health challenge, or with the big C, but never giving it the power. You have to be very careful about giving a disease the power. So that's where I am on that one.
Very good. Thank you so much. This is a documentary to help people around the world with understanding ways that they can partake in self-care. Is there any last words of wisdom, advice, suggestions that you would offer to the world as far as living a healthier lifestyle?
Well, living a healthier lifestyle is important for all of us because we're having climate challenges, global changes, and if we are not aware of what's happening around us in the environment, we won't live a healthy lifestyle. It takes work these days. It takes work to live a healthy lifestyle because the television gives us so much that looks so good. I was looking at a key lime pie a while ago, and I just felt like getting me a slice of key lime pie. But the truth is, the commercials are directed to people and to your consciousness. And and we have in the conscious level, we have a conscious level, we have a subconscious level. And you keep doing something over and over and over again, it intenses that subconscious, and you will go out and do it every time. So you have to embrace getting away from so much of the outer that's around us. The sandwich is too for a hot dog, too far to be good, but you don't know what's in that hot dog. We have to begin looking at when we buy things to see what the sodium intake is, what the sugar intake is. It may not be the truth all the time, but at least you got something, you know that you can do this. So I would suggest that people be more aware of who they are, their own body temple, listen to the body. The body will tell you things. I'd be aware that my environment has a lot to do with what I select to do, and I'd be aware that in the midst of it all, I can live a healthy life. Um, and I think that with the meditation, with the listening ear, because we hear but we don't listen, with the listening ear, and with the idea, my desire is to be healthy. I had a fall last year, and my knee has been slowly healing, but I learned something. I've been walking all over the place by walking cane. The barometric pressure has a lot to do with it. So when it's raining and cold, my knee is wonderfully acts up. But it's been 80 degrees. I've been having a ball. I said, just go girl, look at you. So the point is that being aware of yourself and your body temple, what the environment does for you makes a big difference. I think that if a person has a desire, I've been in physical therapy for a year now, and I've lost a lot of weight that I would never lost had I been in physical therapy. Because you try to exercise. I'm a couch potato. I sit on the side of the writing my sermons. We got all kinds of stuff we do that we know we shouldn't do, but the exercise with them has done a lot for me. So I would say that find out what your body's like, listen to it, work at eating healthy according to what your body desires. I would say use meditation as often as you can. And I would say find a spiritual place where people spiritually are gathered together to find out who they are. That's important. Because so many times we stay by ourselves. But when you have a spiritual place where people are teaching these principles, it makes you much, much better off.
Thank you so much, Bishop Dr. Barbara King, founder of Hillside International Truth Center right here in Atlanta. She serves as the spiritual mother to so many individuals around the world, And she has more stories. You can find them in her books. Thank you so much, Dr. Barbara.
Thank you for asking me. God bless.
Life